Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Zoom. We always are on here every Monday, same time, 9 p.m. Singapore time and Southeast Asia time. And then we're on at 9 a.m., at least for right now, on the East Coast. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Let us know in the chat. I'm actually going to open up the chat for anybody who just wants to say hi today. You're feeling chatty, you feel like you want to say something. I really want to hear from you, especially if you're brand new. It is not a beautiful day here. I'm in northern New Jersey, and usually it is about 24 centigrade on a regular basis here at this time of year. And today, and actually the last 4 days, it's been 8. And so you can see I'm wearing a turtleneck and I'm wearing an extra like a gilet on top and just trying to stay warm. We actually had to put the heat on in our house because it got a little bit chilly in here. So if you're in a nice warm place, please let me know. I'd really like to hear. And I obviously want to hear from all of you, whether you're in a warm place or not, and hear from all of our participants. If you can hear me, I don't see anybody's face today. I don't know why. Actually, I'm going to try a different view. Let me just try a gallery view for a second. No, I still don't see anybody's face. If you can give me a thumbs up that you can hear me and see me, I would love to hear it in the chat. I'm always concerned because we've had some issues over the last few weeks. And hi, someone, Sue saying hi. And so I'm assuming you can hear me and see me. So today's class is about classes, which is a great thing because whether you are new to doTERRA or you've been in doTERRA for a while, part of what we do is that we actually teach essential oil classes, and we teach other people about essential oils and how they can use them and how they can do what we do. So today is kind of a primer, if you will. You may be feeling, I don't really need to know that, but you may find out some pro tips today. And I think over the next few weeks, I think a lot of people actually are asking the question, how do I keep teaching classes with all the restrictions that we still have? I'm hearing that Malaysia has some additional restrictions right now, and I know other parts of the world that this presentation is reaching are also experiencing some shutdowns. So we want to make sure that you're able to teach your classes, that you are still getting engagement, and that you are getting together with people, if you can, on a regular basis, whether that's live or on Zoom, and we're going to talk about that too. So everyone's saying hi. Nice and warm in Singapore. I bet. What's the temperature in Singapore right now? Is it, can I make a guess? Is it 32 centigrade? Oh my goodness. I'm just seeing Suambi is telling me Malaysia will be in total lockdown from tomorrow until the 14th of June. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how to continue to host classes, how to reach out to people. It's a trying time, folks. We're just trying to manage what's going on in the world. We are spot on. Alyssa says spot on, 32 degrees. So imagine it being 8 here yesterday. I mean, 8, are you kidding? It was so cold. And we've actually had pouring rain and very cold temperatures for the last 4 days. So it's crazy. And you know what, folks? Today I'm supposed to go to the beach. So I don't know, I'm going to be going to the beach in sweatpants and a sweatshirt because I am not going to put on a swimsuit in 8-degree weather. Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit, but we'll see. It's not looking too promising out there. It's very, very cloudy, and my heat in my house keeps coming on. So I know that it's cold out there. Okay. Who else? Jesslyn is saying hi. Hi, Jesslyn. Lee Ju says nice and warm. Hi, Lee Ju. Good to see you. Good to hear from everybody. So happy that you're all on. I see that people are popping on. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me know what's going on with you. Are you able to host meetings right now, or you're feeling a little bit nervous or a little bit shy? I really want to hear from all of you. Also, Vincent says you'd be happy with 25 degrees. Yep. 25 would be nice, but 8, Vincent, 8, too cold, right? I can remember years ago, going to Singapore, I'm sorry, going to Utah for convention. And some of you will remember this because you were with me. And it dropped to 0 centigrade during convention and it started to snow. Now, it didn't snow heavily. And most of the time in September in Utah, it's absolutely beautiful, but sometimes you get a freaky cold weather coming out of the mountains, and that's just the way it is. So today's talk is about no-fail meetings. And in our business, we are constantly setting up meetings and have to be ready and able to contact people and just kind of bring them around, right? We've got to make sure that they are getting the information that they need, getting the information that we need them to see and to experience. We got to bring people together. So this is obviously an example of a very corporate looking meeting. But if you're having team meetings on a regular basis, your meetings might look a little bit more like this. Maybe you're not so dressed up so fancy, but that's it's always good to get dressed up from time to time. But the idea is that we're coming together, we're running an organization, and that we're keeping people together. That's our goal, right? So over the last year or so as I'm sure you all remember, I used to host a lot of meetings in my home, and I'm just getting back to those live meetings in my home again. Some people are enthusiastic. They really want to see me. They want to come here. Others are still a little bit more wary. They want to meet either outdoors or in a more public cafe where there might be more, stringent cleaning protocols. We try to keep our house clean, but obviously we don't have high intensity HEPA filters or any of the things that some businesses have invested in over this last year. Convention, we're getting a couple of chats. So Ancia says she's going to miss the US convention again. I know. So if you are an international doTERRA user or sharer, you for this year at least, we're going to restrict the attendees to only those people living in, I think even in the continental United States, might be all 50 states, but if United States only, which might be easier for you and might be easier for doTERRA. I don't know what the limitations are. It's a moving target, folks, but we're trying, right? We got to keep trying. That's the main thing. And that's the message of today's chat, right? Okay, so the reality of our work life is that we're always trying to keep it in balance. And so I'm sure you are juggling a lot of expectations, whether from your family or your friends or your team. What do they expect? You may actually begin to feel disappointed in yourself. You're constantly in front of the screen, or maybe people are just not connecting with you. So I will tell you a little story. As you might have remembered, my daughter started her work career, if you will, way back at the end of high school, at the end of secondary school, and she started in sales. And she worked with a company who does excellent training, a US company here, and they sell kitchen equipment and kitchen supplies. And they have a lot of young people who come on board and get trained in an intense period. So 3 days of intense training, how to talk, what to say, what types of slides to use. But I have to say the kids that stick with it really do very well. And if I use that for an example from my own team, I will say that the people that have come in, been well trained and stuck with it have actually done really, really well. So use that as an example, if you will. When you are signing someone up, you're enrolling someone from your team, you want to make sure that they get trained quickly and efficiently. And that's where meetings can come in. So the number one thing that we need to do when someone joins our team is to train them about how to use the essential oils they just purchased, right? That's key. Number two is to help them, if they're interested, to learn how to share those essential oils correctly and with good results, right? But before we even get to either one of those things, before the purchase, before the trainings, what are we doing? We're trying to get people to come to our meeting, and we're trying to host a successful meeting, which seems like, okay, maybe should be easy, but it's not always. So it's no secret that bad meetings are some of the most hated realities of our work life, right? And good meetings can be really rare. Sometimes you get into a meeting and it's just dragging on, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, when am I going to get out of here? I don't have the time for this. I don't have the patience. I really want to be able to just kind of move on and do something else. When we contact someone to enroll them or even introduce them to essential oils for the first time, we want to surprise and delight them. We also want to give them enough information so that they are prepared to purchase, but not so much information that they're going to walk away confused. So there really is a balance there. How much information are you providing? How much information do you need to provide? So classes are essential. Classes are essential in every team that wants to reach its goal. Not just any classes, not just any meetings, but really good meetings. A good enrollment or wellness consult should begin with a plan and an identification from the beginning of how long the meeting will take and what you're prepared to talk about. So don't just walk into any sort of meeting and talk to the people, just begin talking. Give them some sort of an idea of what it is you're going to be talking about. Without an agenda, written or spoken, the person you're meeting with may be confused about your motives or worried about where they have to go to next. Make sure they have carved out enough time to convey the information necessary, whether you're teaching in a small group like this one that we're seeing on the screen, or you're doing maybe a make and take with a larger group, because we've got all different kinds of meetings, of course, right? Maybe you're doing a one-on-one in a cafe or in some more public place, or you're back in the office. Now, some of you I know are in the office, some of you are not, but if you're in the office and you're able to do a one-on-one or a small group meeting, this is the type of thing that you might be doing, actually passing the essential oils to an individual person. And I understand clearly that in each and every one of your countries and your offices, these things are being regulated in different ways, and you may not be able to do exactly what's being shown here on the screen. But if you're able to host meetings, and if you're able to host them on a regular basis, you know that you are setting an example for your team. What happens when you set that example? Morale goes up, productivity increases, individuals and teams are held accountable, problems are identified and solved, and goals are reached. When we try to kind of, slip under a cover and say, oh, well, I'll do whatever I can, or I'm not going to pay attention to how the meetings are hosted, we tend not to get any results. If we get some results, they may actually be bad ones. We're always out there talking about our product and helping to convey what it is that's important to our customer about essential oils and why they'd want to incorporate them into their lives. But the concept also is that we're working in tandem with them. This is not a one-way street. We're not just lecturing to them. We want some interaction there, right? So that's super important. So a couple of people are telling me that they've gotten the virtual tickets from convention already. If you've gotten a virtual ticket, please let me know in the chat. Sue AMB tells me that she's gotten hers. Anybody else? I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to keep going and talk to you a little bit about Zoom etiquette. So always remember, your best manners and friendly smile are so important. And so here's a few tips for setting up a good meeting on Zoom. Number one is you want to perhaps call the person or text the person and invite them first. And then you want to remind them that you're getting on and that you're going to be able to talk, that they're going to be able to talk within a set period of time. If you're doing a one-on-one Zoom meeting, you may want to have your slides available so they can see your face, like you can see mine, and then also they can see your presentation on the other side. Make some notes for yourself. You can either have a piece of paper or you can have some sort of a presentation sheet, and you want to be ready to have that Zoom meeting with them. The other thing is, please be respectful of their time. Don't just talk and talk and talk. Even if you're invited to do or host or talk in a meeting for another team, and that happens from time to time. I know that sometimes I've presented for other teams. Be respectful of everyone's time. Keep the meeting as short as you possibly can. They're more likely to remember what it is that you say if your meeting is kept to a reasonable amount of time. So I'm going to give you a couple of pro tips for teaching a great class. If you want to take out a piece of paper and a pencil and jot them down, or you can take some screenshots if you want. I've got some pro tips for teaching great classes. These are kind of the, I don't know, at least the very first steps. And then later on, we're going to talk about some more advanced tips, which I think are important. Okay, so tip number one is where's tip number one? There we go. Teach on the same day and time each week. Tuesday to Thursday usually are good at 6 to 7:30 p.m. and that works best. Obviously, I'm disobeying my own rule by teaching on a Monday, but I have to say this is a long-standing meeting and this was the day that was selected by our team. So I'm in a kind of a weird place in that I'm teaching a little bit later in the day and I'm also teaching on not the ideal day, but if you're inviting someone for the first time that's going to be meeting you, and especially if you're doing it on Zoom and you're going to do an oil teaching class on Zoom with them, better to teach at a really prime time. Sometimes 6 p.m. can be a little bit early. They may be, especially if they're a young mom or they're a family, they're raising a family, they may be eating dinner at that time. Make sure that you have buy-in from them. What's the easiest thing for them to do? Number two is teach an intro class each and every week. You can be teaching intro classes to people that you've already signed up. You can be teaching intro classes to somebody new, but you want to stay in the moment that you are continuously feeling that, enthusiasm of a new person as they, for the first time, experience essential oils and go through the process and learn about essential oils from you, who are a person at this point. I haven't heard anybody who's on here that's brand new, at least not today, who has experience with essential oils. You're passing on knowledge to another generation, and that's a really wonderful thing to do, and really a way of serving other people, because essential oils really will go on in their family and with their friends. You want to make sure that their first experience with essential oils is important and also dedicated to them. So teach that intro class. Don't be shy and don't give it up just because you're busy. Number three, teach a continuing education class on the weekend or another day. Continuing education classes include things like classes on aches and pains or skin or immunity. These are kind of more basic classes. You want to get into the habit of teaching these classes. You yourself have probably used essential oils for all of these different issues over the years, but are you teaching others to use their essential oils for the continuing ed? If you're not, you want to make sure that you're plugged into a group where you are regularly going to be hosting as a teacher. If you're feeling shy or you don't feel like your group would listen to you, then we really got to sit back and say to yourself, okay, what's the community that I've created here, and what's my audience? I'm trying to build a team. I want to make sure that my team is hearing from me on a regular basis. So step out of your comfort zone. If I'm challenging you to do anything, I'm challenging you, now that COVID is going into maybe either a worsening stage in certain countries or an improving stage in certain countries, I'm going to challenge you to step out of your comfort zone and say, okay, maybe this is an opportunity that I needed to be able to move to a different level. Okay, here's another tip. Keep the class to less than 1 hour. No one wants to hear the blah, 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 blah. I don't know if any of you are friends of Charlie Brown, the comic strip that was written by Charles Schulz for many, many years. But you probably, if you haven't heard of Charlie Brown, you've heard of Snoopy, and you know the Snoopy comic. Snoopy is all over our sweatshirts and greeting cards and all different sorts of things. One of the things in the original cartoons was that you never heard the adults speak. When they spoke or they were in the room, whether as a teacher or a parent or anybody, the kids would always hear wah, 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 wah. Now, you don't want your audience in your class to hear that wah, wah, wah. Not a good thing. You want them to be engaged. You want them to walk away from the class and say, oh, I learned X, Y, and Z. And you want them to be able to immediately apply it in their own lives. So when we teach a class, we want to make sure that people not only are learning certain things, but they're able to apply them quickly. And I hope, honestly, folks, when you walk away from these classes on Monday, that you walk away with something, some nugget that you say, oh, I'm going to apply that this week. And really, that's my goal. I know that I talk a lot and sometimes I get a little bit distracted. And part of this becomes almost like a comedy show, I know, because I say crazy things on here. But my goal is always for you to learn something and be able to apply it in your own life. Tip number 5, yes, try to always sample before the class. This is especially important if you're going to be teaching a class over Zoom. So it makes it a little bit more tricky. You may have to prepare a little sample bag or something, drop it in somebody's mailbox, or actually send it to them, drop it on their front doorstep, depending on the distances. If you live in a small community and you're able to drop samples on somebody's front doorstep, terrific. If you're not, throw it in the mail. Just wrap it in some bubble wrap and throw it in the mail. But sampling actually has been shown that attendees that get a sample before the class have an 80% better chance of enrolling. So when they get there, they're prepared. They know what you're going to talk about. They have something that they can smell. Don't give them 100 samples. You may just give them 3 or 4, but you want to make sure that you're actually giving them something that you're going to be talking about during the class, right? So sampling, super important. If you can sample before the class, even better. When they walk in and they smell a sample, it may be being passed around the room, they're distracted, but if they're able to experience the samples before they get into class, that's the best way for them to learn. I teach a class regularly at a massage school, and I always send the students 3 samples before the class starts: a lavender, a lemon, and a peppermint. And then we talk about the lavender, lemon, and peppermint in the class, but we also talk about the 7 other oils in the Family Essentials kit, because I think that's important for them to understand, okay, these are the basics, but this is really the whole 10 that you need to get started. And that's a great way. And at the end, 100% of the students sign up basically because their school requires it. But do they become engaged? Yes, they become engaged because they've been sampled before the class. Tip number 6, Tip number 6, there we go. Serve only lemon or peppermint water before the class starts. Why is this true? People who get distracted by food or also smell food odors tend to have a greater difficulty smelling essential oils later on. So you want to keep your food consumption down to a bare minimum, really just lemon water. You can always serve something afterwards, but don't put out a big buffet and expect people to resist until the end of the class. It'll never happen. Make sure that you're serving something very modest before the class starts. Your lemon or peppermint water. You might want to mix it into some other sort of a smoothie if you want to be, if you're sampling maybe the fiber or the protein, teaching a different sort of class, but don't put out a lot of food before the class because it really does distract people. After the class or before you start the business portion of your class, feel free to bring out whatever it is that you need or you want. But make sure that you're keeping in mind that people do just get distracted by food. Peppermint brownies at the end are always a great way to entice people to stay for the business portion of the class. I've actually had experience sometimes serving just the water at the beginning and then saying to people, okay, for anybody who stays for the business portion of the class, we have these peppermint brownies. And you'd be surprised how many people that were walking towards the door say, okay, I'll stay for a few minutes. So entice them with food, but later on in your class. Now, as teachers, because we're all teachers, right? I've got a couple of school day tips for you. Diffuser blends. Couldn't get off here without giving you any blends or any essential oil information at all. So we've got everything from the Sleep Tight blend, so that you want to sleep well, with Serenity and Wild Orange. Test Recall, and I know a lot of you are going into your final days in your classes and getting ready to study for big exams. If you've got kids in school, let me know, and let me know when is school ending for you. So when is school ending where you are? I know I've got people on here, at least from Singapore and Malaysia. think I've got a couple of people from US. Let me know, and maybe not, because today's a holiday, a national holiday in the US. I decided to teach today because I wasn't doing anything in the morning. Honestly, as I said, I'm going to the beach, but it's freezing cold. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to teach the class. I think it's a good thing to do. Let me know in the chat if you have kids, or maybe you don't have kids, but you happen to know, when is school closing in your area. I know that schools are kind of wrapping up their semesters fairly soon. Then we've got the Genius Zone, which includes sandalwood, lime, and frankincense. And I have to say, since we don't have any particular blend amounts, I would start with equal amounts. You could do a drop and a drop, or you could add, or you can't subtract, but you can add the one that you like more. Perfect attendance, On Guard and Arborvitae, Homework Helper, Motivate, and Frankincense. Rise and Shine, Spearmint, Lemon, and Wild Orange. You could have this going in a diffuser in the kitchen while your kids were getting ready for school. Test Stress Buster, Lavender, Marjoram, and Clary Sage. And I love that bottom left, Test Recall, used while studying and taking the test. Now, your child may not be able to bring a diffuser into the testing site, but could you roll it on them before the exam begins? Absolutely. So prepare some of these as diffuser blends, or maybe as roll-on blends, and help your kid to get the most out of their study experience. Alyssa says, I've got a girl who's sitting for a big exam at the end of the year. So it's study, 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 school's out, but not for her. There's Zoom classes twice a week. Oh my goodness. Zoom classes twice a week for her to study for the exams, or just for school? Also, how old is your daughter, Alyssa? I'd love to hear. Those big exams that I know many students sit at different periods in their school career. In the US, it's usually about the age of 17, and then maybe again at the age of 13, or earlier at the age of 13 or 14, can be extremely stressful. And these are exams that are going to decide in many cases whether or not they can go for apply for US universities or apply for elite schools. So there's a lot of tension for parents, for kids, and for parents as they begin to prepare for these exams. For exams, for school, both. She's 12. Oh, 12 is young also. Yeah. We'll keep her in mind, and all that anybody who knows a 12-year-old, make sure that they know that, it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out, but help them with diffuser blends and roll-on bottles. Now, since we are all teachers, and since you're going to know a lot of teachers, if you have any kids in your life, here's some great essential oils for teachers. Elevation, for creating an uplifting atmosphere. Lavender, to soothe cuts and burns. Lemon cleanses the classroom. Deep Blue soothes aching joints. Serenity promotes a calm environment. Peppermint increases alertness. Purify clears the air of unwanted odors. Intune reduces stress and aids focus. And On Guard supports a healthy immune system. Now, I read actually a very long article this morning that some school districts, and this is true in the United States, so I know it's true overseas, some school districts are limiting the use of essential oils in the classroom because of concerns that they have for interactions with either medications or children's other stress points for children. So you may actually have to get, if you are a teacher, you may have to get either a waiver, get each participant in your class to sign a waiver. However, this year, many parents are actually teaching at home. So if you are homeschooling your child, this is a great time for you to be using these essential oils yourself. Last but not least, several of these essential oils can be used individually by a teacher instead of in the entire class. I always feel like if we're wearing essential oils, we can be human diffusers. And on test day, perhaps the teacher could wear Intune and then kind of walk throughout the classroom. I think there are ways that you can use essential oils without diffusing within a classroom and causing problems and stress for the students or their parents. The following book is one that I love, love, love. I've been using this for a while. It's called No Fail Meetings. It's actually the gift that we're going to be giving away today when we have our lucky draw at the end. It's 5 steps to orchestrate productive meetings and avoid all the rest. So as a kind of a bonus, there's two things going on. I want to start teaching some more meetings to help individuals, group leaders transform really their meetings, because I think to a certain degree now, after a year plus 18 months, 15 months of COVID, I'm losing track, folks. I don't know about you. We really want to just boost morale and help people to feel more connected. This is my way of doing it, written by Michael Hyatt. The book is about, I want to say about a year and a half old, so a fairly recent book. As you know, I did some training with Michael Hyatt about a year ago, really enjoyed it. Hope to go back to it sometime in the future, but for right now, I'm kind of staying put in my neck of the woods. I've got a lot of responsibilities and avoiding a lot of travel and groups if I possibly can. But Michael Hyatt is a wonderful teacher, and this is a really important book. I think he's written something like 8 or 10 books, all about business, all about productivity. And he really is someone that I admire and hope that you'll be able to connect with some of his stuff. So what you will learn from the book, and also I think as we go forward, as we begin to talk about more meetings, is why many meetings can just be productivity killers. We get together with people or we get on the phone with them and we talk to the people only that we want to talk to. We don't talk to the people that are maybe a little bit harder to talk to. We want to make sure that we're giving everybody an equal opportunity. We want to determine which meetings are necessary because some of them are not. How to schedule them, and that can really be a productivity secret. If you are a person who struggles with productivity, knowing when to schedule meetings can really help you with your productivity and your effectiveness and also goal achievement. Proper format and technology for in-person and virtual meetings. If you're still able to do personal meetings, obviously that's always the best when you can sit knee to knee with another person, but it may not be possible right now. Best practices for meetings that keep teams aligned and get results, and really a lot more. So like what we want to serve, how to pass oils around, how to close, all of those things are super important. And we've got to learn them all if we're going to have effective meetings. Okay, bad teaching no more. One of my goals for this year, this poor little cat, he's really looking exhausted there. One of my goals this year is to help you to feel that you are effectively teaching and are able to reach out on a regular basis. So when I look at the last 6 months of 2021, that's really my goal for teaching and to helping this team to grow and to really build. No more bad meetings, only effective meetings. And then the kind of the feeling of I can do this and I want to do this, right? So that's the important thing. So thank you to our Presidential Diamond team, every one of you who gets on here every week. We've got a wonderful group that just spans the globe. And I'm always so happy when I can get on with you on a regular basis. We are on Instagram. Instagram is growing because we have been running these amazing contests over the last, I think it's 4 weeks. We've got 2 more weeks to go where we're going to be having these different packs of essential oils, each one geared to a different health concern. And it's kind of a doTERRA swag backpack or some other container or bag. And then we're going to have additional goodies inside the bag that represent whatever that issue is for. So hop onto Instagram if you're not already on. Elena Jordan, super easy to find me. I'm under the same name just about everywhere. And then last but not least, if you are watching this on YouTube and you're not on the live, please consider subscribing today. Hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notifications every time we come out with a new video. And we're coming out with 2 new videos every week. Remember, folks, you are amazing and you got here today, which makes you even more amazing. Want to make sure that you're actually reaching out to people. As much as I'm trying to reach out to you, please reach out to others and make them feel welcome during this time. Thank you for having been here and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Okay, everyone, we're going to actually stop the share. Oops, let's see if I can do that. Stop the share. And we're going to say farewell to everybody who's listening to us on the YouTube. Thanks for having been here. For our live participants, stay on because we're going to have our lucky draw and we're going to give away our 2 books. I've got them here in the US. I do not have them yet in anywhere in Southeast Asia. So they're going to have to be mailed to you. Please be patient. They will come to you. So farewell to everybody who's joining us on the YouTube, and we'll see you all again really soon.